The time is 8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by Tilani Pires. The headlines. President Wickremesinghe calls on creditors, stakeholders to support Sri Lanka's debt sustainability to get the country back on track. The President stresses the need of strengthening the long-standing bilateral relations between Sri Lanka and the Philippines through new approaches. The National Council decides to appoint 2 subcommittees related to national policies and economic stabilization. The Norachole coal power plant will be back in operation by Sunday. And on international news, European Commission to take Malta to court over golden passports. President Ranil Wickremesinghe says factors underlining the main crisis is not only economic but are also consequences of evolving geopolitics. Addressing the 55th annual meeting of the ADB Board of Governors in the Philippines, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said amidst major economic stress, Sri Lanka is undertaking an unprecedented fiscal effort as part of the government's commitment to restoring the country's debt sustainability. He expressed the hope and expectation that Sri Lanka's creditors and all stakeholders will support Sri Lanka in these efforts to restore the country's debt sustainability and help put back the country on track, the path of economic growth. President Wickremesinghe presided over the annual meeting of the ADB Board of Governors this morning, which was held at the ADB headquarters in Manila, Philippines, and attended by governors and official government delegations. President Wickremesinghe noted that the government has already undertaken major macroeconomic policy reform measures, and this program is aligned with the commitment of the government to implement an ambitious and comprehensive package of reforms that will help restore the sustainability of the country's public finances, addressing external imbalances and restarting the growth engine through structural reforms and improvement in the governance. The President also said that whilst Sri Lanka undertakes these deep and often painful reforms, the country is experiencing rising unemployment and reduction in purchasing power of the consumers. The President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the long-standing friendship between Sri Lanka and the Philippines would be promoted by developing Asian regional cooperation. The President said this during his meeting with the President of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., in Manila this morning. During the discussion, great emphasis was placed on further strengthening the long-standing bilateral relations between Sri Lanka and the Philippines through new approaches. Meanwhile, the President said it is the hope and expectation of Sri Lanka that the country's creditors and all stakeholders will support to restore debt sustainability and help put the country back on the path of inclusive and sustainable economic growth. He made these remarks addressing the meeting of the governors of the Asian Development Bank in the Philippines. The inaugural meeting of the National Council was held in Parliament today. The meeting was chaired by the Speaker Mahindayapa Abeyewardena. It has been decided to appoint 2 subcommittees related to national policies and economic stabilization in the inaugural meeting of the National Council. The purpose of setting up the subcommittee on national policy is to set the common priorities of Parliament to guide the formulation of medium and long-term national policies. The purpose of establishing the subcommittee on economic stabilization is to reach agreement on the short and medium-term programs related to economic stabilization. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Norachole Lakvijaya coal power plant, which had suffered a breakdown recently, will be back in operation by Sunday. The Norachole power plant supplies close to 900 megawatts of electricity to the national grid. Residential engineers of the power plant say the defect was caused due to a cracking of an external gas line. They said the renovation work is now being carried out and it to be completed by Saturday evening. They added the third power plant, which is also being repaired, will be in operation shortly. The Finance State Minister Ranjit Sembalapitia says the government has eased the import ban on some goods that have been temporarily suspended due to the prevailing economic crisis. The minister said that import restrictions were imposed on the relevant goods on the basis that they can be produced locally or are not essential. He added that the country's foreign reserves are at a very low level and that it is vital to create a priority list. During an observation visit at the Import and Export Control Department, the minister added that the government import restrictions of 708 items were removed. He said further relaxation of import restrictions will be done in the future. He pointed out that the government's expectation is to relax the import restrictions so as to be able to import the raw materials needed for local industries as well as to protect the foreign reserves. That ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says the factors underlining the main crisis is not only economic but are also consequences of evolving geopolitics. Addressing the 55th annual meeting of the ADB Board of Governors in the Philippines, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said amidst major economic stress, Sri Lanka is undertaking an unprecedented fiscal effort as part of the government's commitment to restoring the country's debt sustainability. He expressed the hope and expectation that Sri Lanka's creditors and all stakeholders will support Sri Lanka in these efforts to restore the country's debt sustainability and help put the country back on the path of economic growth. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And now in Watch Light.
The prices of vehicles are dropping rapidly in the country due to the sharp downfall in the demand of vehicles. The Vehicle Importers Association of Sri Lanka, VIASL, says it is impossible to sell expensive vehicles these days. The association also said that the prices of vehicles in the price range below 3 million rupees have not dropped yet, since one can still afford them with the money they own, while those vehicles are currently being traded in the market and the prices are rather stable. That came to you in Watchlight.
World News.
World News and the headlines first. European Commission to take Malta to court over golden passports. Abortion law amended by the India Supreme Court to cover single women. Finland to bar Russians after Putin's mobilization order. India's Supreme Court has said that all women, including those not married, could get an abortion up to 24 weeks. The court ruling came on a plea seeking clarity on the amended 2021 abortion law, which listed several groups that did not include single women. The court said all women, regardless of their marital status, were entitled to safe and legal abortion. It said that excluding single women in consensual relationships would be unconstitutional. Abortions have been legal in India since 1971, but over the years authorities have made strict rules for those who can terminate the pregnancy because of abortions or millions of female fetuses, leading to a terribly skewed gender ratio in the country. Traditionally, Indians have shown a preference for male children over daughters. Last year, the government amended the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, MTP, to allow several categories of women to seek abortions between 20 and 24 weeks. Finland will refuse entry to Russians with Schengen tourist visas starting Friday, following a surge in arrivals after Moscow's mobilization order to fight in the war in Ukraine. Foreign Minister Pekka Haavisto told a news conference on Thursday the decision aims to completely prevent the current situation of Russian tourism to Finland and the related transit through Finland. The foreign minister said Moscow's mobilization announcements significant impact on Helsinki's decision. Local news outlet Helsingin Sanomat reported Finland's new rules, Russians entering the country for work, study and family visits, such as trips to see one's parents, grandparents and children, will still be allowed in. The European Commission has said it will file a legal challenge against Malta for its so-called Golden Passport program. The program allows wealthy foreigners to buy citizenship in exchange for an investment of about €1 million. Holding a Maltese passport allows them to live and work in any EU country. In recent months, Malta suspended the program for Russian and Belarusian nationals following the start of war in Ukraine, but it continues to operate the scheme for all other nationalities inequalities and has not expressed any intention to end it, the Commission said. In a statement on Thursday, Brussels believes the scheme is in breach of EU law because citizenship is granted without any real obligation for the beneficiaries to live in the country. Back to the world news headlines. European Commission to take Malta to court over golden passports. Abortion law amended by the India Supreme Court to cover single women. Finland to bar Russians after Putin's mobilization order. That ends world news.
Development news.
The State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siambalapitiya says Sri Lanka's legal alcohol consumption is expected to fall by 20 to 30% in 2022 as inflation rises due to an economic downturn. During a visit to the Department of Excise in Sri Lanka, he stated that the department had reached 65% of its target. Currently, taxes account for approximately 75% of the price of alcohol, he stated. It was 65 to 75% in the case of cigarettes. The State Minister of Finance also said cigarette taxes had also given rise to a beady industry in which breadwinners of low-income families avoided paying high taxes to the government as a percentage of their earnings. That came to you in Development News.
Sports news is brought to you by...
With many values that bind us beyond the transaction, we are Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Sports news. The 15-player Sri Lanka cricket team has been training at the Pallekele International Cricket Stadium in preparation for the T20 World Cup. Organised by the Sri Lanka Cricket, the residential training program lasts 7 days. Prior to their departure for Australia, the Sri Lankan team is expected to finish their 7-day training period. October 16th will mark the start of the T20 World Cup. And now on overseas cricket, Yorkshire's new overseas signing, Shane Masood, has been appointed as the club's captain from where he arrives at Headingley for the 2023 season. The Pakistan international batter, 32, joined as one of the club's overseas players and signed a 2-year deal. He joined Yorkshire having turned down the offer of a new contract with Derbyshire earlier this season. Masood was confirmed as captain after Yorkshire's end-of-season defeat by Gloucestershire on Wednesday, with their place in Division 1 riding on Warwickshire's result against Hampshire at Edgbaston on Thursday. That ends sports news.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest from NSB, now extended till the 30th of September just for you. Your short-term deposits receive an attractive interest rate of 20% in 3 months and 22% in 7 months. Visit a bank branch or a main postal office today. NSB, the only bank with a 100% government guarantee.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Litrogas Lanka Limited reports that it has repaid the General Treasury a tranche of $70 million credit facility. The facility was obtained from the World Bank to ensure continuous LP gas supply. The company's chairman, Mudita Pires, stated to the media that the entire credit facility is expected to be settled to the General Treasury by December of this year. The chairman also stated that the company repaid 6.5 billion rupees in September and expects to pay 8 billion rupees to the General Treasury next month. That was business news.
Business news sponsored by...
The fastest way to earn the highest interest from NSB, now extended till the 30th of September just for you. Your short-term deposits receive an attractive interest rate of 20% in 3 months and 22% in 7 months. Visit a bank branch or a main postal office today. NSB, the only bank with a 100% government guarantee.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And on economic news, humanitarian aid totaling 1.5 million euros has been provided by the EU in response to Sri Lanka's ongoing socio-economic crisis. Janice Lenar, the Commissioner for the Crisis Management, said funding would concentrate primarily on multi-purpose cash interventions to address the population's basic needs, including food, health, education, and protection. Humanitarian assistance will be directed towards the most vulnerable households in need of immediate assistance. That came to you in economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Finally, the weather report. The Department of Meteorology says showers are expected in Sabaragama province as well as Kandy and Nuwara districts. There will be several spells of showers in the western and northwestern provinces along with Gaul and Mathura districts. Several locations in the province of Uva as well as in the Ampara and Batticaloa districts will experience showers or thunder showers during the evening or night. The sea areas of the coast extending from Puttalam to Kankesanture via Mannar and from Gaul to Potharil via Hambantota will be rough. The other sea areas around the island will be rough at times. That was the weather report. And now to end this news broadcast, the main points once again. President Wickremesinghe calls on creditors, stakeholders to support Sri Lanka's debt sustainability to get the country back on track. The President stresses the need of strengthening the long-standing bilateral relations between Sri Lanka and the Philippines through new approaches. The National Council decides to appoint 2 subcommittees related to national policies and economic stabilization. The Norochole coal power plant will be back in operation by Sunday. And on international news, European Commission to take Malta to court over golden passports. That ends this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.